Bobby's having some Wi-Fi issues, so I figured I would get it started while awaiting his arrival. We have three main slates to deal with. For those of you that play the Turbo slate, good luck with that. But otherwise, we have MLB, NBA, and NHL. And here's Bobby. Just 5 seconds late. Not a big deal. He got his Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I got the Wi-Fi backup.
Got his Wi-Fi fixed.
Snuck in there.
I changed the title, and we're kind of ready to start attacking this.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of a small slate that I think you need to treat as like even I don't say you should treat it as smaller, but I think getting weirder on this kind of slate certainly makes some sense. You know what I mean? I just think, we have some fairly concentrated chalk that are games that I even like, but I'm a little bit less on the Angels. I do have a couple Angel stacks, but they're with really weird pitching combinations. That's the way to get different, I think. And I think with the Arizona KC game, I like that game a lot, but I think I'm going to end up using pieces of it rather than stacking it fully, just because I think just to get away from the chalk. But I do think if you're gonna get weird with the pitching, you can play some of those, and it includes some of the weird stuff that we talked about earlier. Maybe taking a weird shot with the Suarez and Tommy Henry lineup or something. You know what I mean? Or Matt Boyd. Getting some Matt Boyd lineups in there. Just those ways you can play the chalkier stacks, but otherwise, I'm kind of inclined to want to get away from the chalk. Play more Toronto, play more Atlanta. Certainly, like you said earlier, these are the best teams, the best offensive teams on the slate, and yes, they have tougher matchups. But I have some Cabrera, by the way, against Atlanta. But I also think that there's a chance that this could be just a nightmare type of matchup for him. I mean, he had that game where he got blown up by the Mets, where he walked 7 guys in 2 2/3. This is if you're messing around like that with Atlanta, you could have a long day. So I really like the idea of being overexposed to those teams and using the chalkier teams maybe a little more as fill-in pieces for me. That's where I'm at.
I couldn't agree with you more. We come out usually differently on our baseball, and my top stacks I'm going to be focused on are the aforementioned Toronto and Atlanta. Like those are my two favorites. Those are the two I'm going to probably have the most exposure to, and that's the way it's going to be. So it looks like we're going to go down with the ship together, so to speak.
I like it.
The other thing that I am getting to, and you kind of suggested this was going to be the case early because of how cheap these guys are. I'm getting some of these mini 2 and 3 man Detroit stacks, just because of how cheap they all are. I mean, you get Yabba Dabba Doo like leading off at 2,300, among other things. You can make they make a lot of these kind of expensive Atlanta things work. Now, I say these expensive Atlanta things work. Like if you want, you can play a 2K Adrianza hitting 9th from Atlanta, and so it's not all expensive. So that's one thing.
Hilliard, Rosario, Ozuna, all 25, 29. Like there are cheap ways to go about it. And the cool thing is, like, because of Atlanta's pricing, the guys you want are going to be unowned a little bit. So using the Detroit and Oakland to help you get there, I think, are a really good way to go. I do think Detroit and Oakland rate to me as being the best of those type of point per dollar plays. So that's certainly something that I'm on board with.
My top pitchers, as indicated earlier, are Strider, Bassett, and Suarez. And then the next 2 guys I have are Boyd and Tommy Henry. I'm under, and this is, I would say mistake. You just can't play everybody. I didn't end up getting to as much Sonny Gray as I thought I would. I didn't end up getting to as much. Well, I mean, a couple of Cabrera lineups, a couple of Colin Rays, a couple of Britos, a couple of nonsense, But the overwhelming majority of my exposure is in the Strider, Bassett, Juarez, Boyd, and Henry. I actually just for full disclosure, I ran like 40 lineups on SaberSim with my stuff. I was getting 100% Strider. I just didn't feel comfortable with that. So I reduced that manually to 60. Not, again, definitely the best play, but I don't know, just something
Mhm.
Some felt wrong, so I just did it. Wish I had a better explanation for it. And as far as my stacks in NME, again, as I mentioned earlier, I currently have, let's just say, way too much Toronto, and then I have a little bit of Cardinals, but nothing major. Like Atlanta, those 3-man Detroits, some Arizona, some KC, but there's way too much Toronto. So maybe I'll trim that a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of hear you. Like, I think it's interesting with the pitching because I am actively like I have Strider's the only pitcher I'm using on FanDuel. I have no problem if you want to use Bassett, but I'm using Strider only on DraftKings. I'm actually going out of my way to play a little bit less Strider. There's plenty of times where he ends up with 22 fantasy points here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just makes sense to get a little bit different. I also think that there's plenty of times where Sonny Gray outscores him here. There's also the, I still feel weird about the Suarez thing, but I actually think that perception is driving the ownership down a little bit. So I'm sort of okay with being overweight that. But I like, I want to get, I didn't have this take earlier, but I'm getting a little bit of Alex Cobb and a little bit of Jordan Montgomery and Lance Lynn, where I'm not playing the Blue Jays, a little bit of Matt Boyd, just getting a little bit more spread out, getting some other combinations and only trying to get like 40% Strider instead of the, 90% that I think in the big buy-ins is going to be like 80+%. I really do.
I think so.
So I would like to be about half that in that case, because I just think there's enough times where other guys outscore him or close enough. Maybe he gets a little sloppy. Maybe any sort of tweak he ever has, they're going to be very careful with him. So that's stuff that happens, 2 or 3 times a year in baseball for each pitcher. So just stuff to keep an eye out for, and ways to get a little different. The ones I also am not getting to the other ones, but I didn't get to like Colin Ray very much. I understand it, but I'm just like, I'd rather take a shot at Brito at like no ownership than Colin Ray at 15% ownership or whatever. But I do think getting a little different and getting some Cabrera, to hedge on my Atlanta, it feels good to me. I mean, like, I do think there's 2 paths for him. One is, I think that you could see the 6 innings, 1 run, 2 run, 7 Ks, 8 Ks type of thing. Or you could see the 5 walks and he doesn't make it out of the third, So I like the idea, like taking both angles on that one. To answer Nick's question, I did not hold on to first. My other lineup ended up being much better. I caught up with Donovan Mitchell. I finished 20th with that one. Hey, Forrest, good to see you, man. Thanks a lot. It was a great it was a great weekend overall. Appreciate the positive support. We'll jump into NBA stuff in a little bit, but I did want to just touch on things that we just got the Milwaukee lineup in, and a lot of it was sort of up in the air whether or not we would see lineup. This is not a very strong looking lineup from Kansas City. Franmil Reyes is in there. I don't even think you can play him on DraftKings right now. I'm not 100% sure about that. It's a weird lineup, and it is not something that it makes me more okay with not having as many Royal stacks. Now, they are cheaper. That's the one thing. You get Oliveras at 3,200 batting second. You've got Reyes where you can play him for nothing. Massey's batting 6th at 2.2. But these are not I'd like to have had Melendez in that lineup if I was going to play that stack more. So I'm a little bit happier to be off of some Royal chalk.
Okay, yeah, I need to update my stuff for that then. Wait, who's out?
Melendez.
Okay.
And so also Arizona's going to drive us crazy till the end of time because they play a little bit earlier than the full West Coast teams do. It sort of gets lost, but they are the latest to release their lineup every, in terms of hours before the game, later than everybody every single day. The Giants are also really annoying with it, but like it drives me nuts. I just, let us know whether Christian Walker is playing or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't force us to have to do it after the first game's locked like we always do. Anyway. But I do have NBA takes that I'm happy to get over to if we want to do that at some point.
Yeah, that's fine.
You want to jump over there? And guys, fire in questions about basketball or baseball, and I'm totally happy to talk about either. But I think it's good to sort of talk a little NBA. My personal take is I think Milwaukee cruises tonight. I really do. I like them to win fairly handily. If they don't, I think that this is a really scary thing. This is just like literally we're a few days removed from everybody talking about how this is clearly the best team in basketball, and now it's like I don't know. I just don't see them losing this game. I also don't love Giannis as much as I thought I was going to. I mean, I'm going to play him probably in my big buy-in just because 10-4 and the raw points in a must-win just feel like hard to resist. But I'll tell you what, I'm not playing him over Ja. I'll play him with Ja, but I'm not going to play him over Ja. I do think Ja's going to have to take over tonight, and he's the priority spend up. But I, in terms of Milwaukee guys, I'm getting Giannis. But I'm not picking him over Ja. So that's the best way I can put it. Anybody else is fine, but nobody who's a priority for me. Kevin Love is hard to ignore at the price tag because we need to save some money some places. I like the idea of going back to Gabe Vincent here, who's going to have a lot lower ownership than Kyle Lowry. And I think that there's just as good of a chance that he plays the minutes. I also think Duncan Robinson is your other value guy. In terms of, I prefer Bam over Butler today. The only reason I don't want to play Butler is to use that spend up. I want to use Ja Morant in a game that I expect to stay closer. And I think there's a chance that this game gets ugly and maybe there's nothing they can do. So I'm betting on the Jimmy Butler, hoping he doesn't score more than 50. But he just didn't quite. I couldn't play him ahead of Ja. I really like Ja tonight. I loved Ja coming into this series. I would like to get more exposure to this Laker-Memphis game. I think Memphis wins this game tonight for what it's worth. I actually like Memphis a lot. Everybody else is acting like the series is over. It's not over. I like Ja, and I like Tillman a ton. Dylan Brooks for the value, I think, is fine, but not overly exciting. We know the Dylan Brooks cheap price tags are a little bit tricky. I actually think Austin Reeves is the best play from the Lakers. And my second,
I like that play a lot, actually.
Yeah, and my second favorite is Schroeder. If Schroeder is good to go, you're playing him. You need value on these slates. He's 3,700, and there's completely a path where it's him, not Reeves or Russell, that's the highest scoring backcourt player for the Lakers. We just saw it when they played Minnesota in the play-in game. So I'm going to go that route. I also Rui's price got a little up there, so people are going to play him. No one every slate, no one really plays Jared Vanderbilt. I actually think he's going to have a decent game in this series at some point. So I don't mind the idea of using him as some value also. And you still do have some Q tags and things happening, so maybe having a little bit in that later game. But more I just want to play that game's pace, even though Miami and Milwaukee's had a ton of points in that series. I do think the Lakers and Memphis are going to have them. I mean, it's not going to be 39-9 at the end of the first quarter this time. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, we say minus game 2. They've only been 3 games, Nick. We're getting into pretty small sample sizes. And we say they can't handle it. Yes, AD defensively has been terrific, but are we really going to play AD in this spot over the other spend ups? I think it's okay. I just I personally prefer the other spend ups, but I do think AD would be the one I pick over LeBron. And if you watch LeBron, this is not the same LeBron James. It's pretty amazing that he's able to do what he can do, but he is very, very clearly not the same guy he was in the past. And it's saying that he's still playing well, but I think he has now in 3 games, I think he has a total of, is it 8 drives to the basket the entire series? That's crazy. LeBron didn't go a quarter with less than 8 drives. I've been saying it all year long. People sort of overlook it. He doesn't attack. He just plays in the high post and he holds the ball, and it's not the same guy. Yeah, Duncan Robinson is definitely worth taking a shot on, which I mentioned. Good luck tonight to Brandon as well. And yeah, dropping any questions. Sheets, what are you doing with your builds in the NBA?
Yeah, I just did. I tried to put together. First of all, are we sure Giannis is playing?
Yeah, they announced that he's playing.
They did. Okay.
Yeah.
So it might be.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we saw someone announced in and then out.
It might be worth me just updating my projections, because it's possible that a couple of places might have had a middling. You know what I mean? For some of these other guys. So I want to just redo this. So you like I was trying to do a middling build without paying for anybody. But
it's kind of tricky because none of the middle guys are guys you like. Like, I don't know if like, who do we? You're basically left just with Chris Middleton and Drew playing. And then the Lakers don't have any middle guys.
Well, they have Reeves.
Yeah, I guess I almost count him as value, but yeah, Reeves and Russell. Memphis doesn't really have any middle.
Bam.
You have Tillman on Memphis. I guess Desmond Bane.
You play Bam and Bam, Lowry, and
I mean, the drill sheets. Must win game for Memphis.
Yeah.
You really think it's going to be spread out? I think they're going to be it's going to be Ja and Bane.
Yeah.
If I was fading Ja, I would be playing Bane. But I'm not fading Ja.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
I don't remember.
Why don't the because I like the other one. I like Jaren Jackson too.
Which one?
Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, that's a good play that I think ends up getting maybe a little lower ownership than he's projected for now.
Yeah, so they did change this a little bit. Let me see if anybody's showing up here. Is something I can play? I mean, not really. Austin Reeves, I definitely like that as my favorite from that. Meanwhile, Austin Reeves is projected to be 60% owned.
I know.
I'll tell you which guys are not projected to be 50% owned, and that would be Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
Yeah, and I think that it's an interesting. You get into can I really play Anthony Davis over Giannis?
Who you could play. You know who you could play. You can play at 15% ownership. You can play freaking Jrue Holiday.
15% ownership. Yeah, it's true.
I know it's not the best, but I mean, it's like.
No, I mean, the get different ones, like guys about I think like Luke Kennard is a guy who I could talk myself into getting hot, as a low ownership guy. I think you could the extreme reach would be Malik Beasley, but I'm planning on right now. I have Schroeder in every lineup, and I don't know where his ownership will end up because
Schroeder, huh? He's
3,700.
Does he play?
He's the one who closed out the last series. They didn't even play Russell against Minnesota. That's how the play-in game. They didn't even play Russell. It just has gone a little bit more back towards Russell and Reeves because things have been going well. There is no reason that can't flip tonight. And he played 24 minutes. He had the 16-minute game, but he played 24 and 20 in the other two games. I think there's a chance he plays, what did he play against Minnesota? He ended up with 33 minutes against Minnesota in that the must win. You know what I mean? There is absolutely a chance that he ends up on the court instead of D'Angelo Russell down the stretch. I'm not saying it will happen, but it happens enough of the time where it's a good play.
You like Grayson Allen at all?
It's a reachy one, but I'm okay with taking that reach because he can shoot his way into a game. I'm always comfortable with taking shots on guys like that, but I don't love. Actually, he's not getting crazy owned. It's probably gonna be 25%, but it's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
And what do you do with Kevin Love?
Kevin Love, I'd probably end up playing him at the end of the day for the price, but I have no problem if you want to talk about a fade. I think that you should be considering if you're not playing Love, one of Martin, Strus, Lowry, Vincent. But Lowry's going to be really popular. I think that Vincent gets overlooked today, and that's why I decided to go with it. The two games are a little harder to get different, obviously, than the four gamers. By the way, Wednesday, if we do want to do the sweatshirt, we've got a nice 4-gamer on Wednesday, so that could be fun.
Oh, nice.
That could be real stuff here. And I think there's a huge baseball tournament tomorrow, by the way.
Where? At night?
I think that, because I sell the tickets for the Mega Grand Slam. I don't see it in the lobby, but it was, and it says 425, so it's tomorrow.
We're going to pull that up in a second.
But there it is. Yeah, 250 for first. So it's a big one tomorrow, yeah.
And at nighttime?
It's 4 p.m.
Oh,
250 for first. Yeah, I want to get in on that one.
Oh, and we officially have a sweat show.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I do have Vanderbilt a little bit, but I prioritize. So that's one thing that I thought about. You can play Vanderbilt instead of playing Kevin Love and get 1/4 the ownership for a guy who actually is a starter. So at least if he plays well, he's going to continue to play minutes, right?
Yeah.
The problem is the Lakers need other shot makers, and that's just not who he is. So that's why Rui ends up getting the minutes. I'm sort of surprised that we haven't heard from Malik Beasley in this series. If things got really wonky, like, I don't know, it'd probably take the Lakers being down like 20-0 or something, but you could end up seeing a Malik Beasley sighting at some point, and it's just hard to know when that's going to be. I mean, he played 10, 12, 13 minutes in each game so far, but just hasn't gotten anything going at all. I sort of thought he would play a little bit of a bigger role, but I think it's just hard with Reeves playing well and Russell playing better than he did during the regular season.
Did you mention any take on Dylan Brooks?
I think it's okay, but I just think it's a little it's the same. We know the rule with Dylan Brooks, right? Like he's 4,700. He's if he doesn't get ejected again, he's going to play 30 minutes. He's going to focus almost entirely on defense and taking really bad shots. If he makes some of those bad shots, he's going to have like 25 fantasy points. If he doesn't, he's going to have like 15 or 20. It's just the same thing as always with him. It's pretty wild how this series has gone, though, because no one was playing Tillman at 4,900. Then he blows up, and everybody now he's playing all the minutes, and everybody wants to play Tillman. Ja Morant was the lowest owned spend up on the slate the other day by a landslide. I mean, you saw it. She's on the 2-gamer. He was 7% owned. On the 4-gamer, he was like 1% owned, and he was the highest scoring player. It's just interesting.
Anything on Joe Ingles?
I mean, you're asking a lot with Giannis coming back.
Yeah, I know.
It's certainly possible. Like, yeah, he's a good wild card candidate, I guess. You kind of need like some foul trouble probably from one of the other starters from Milwaukee for that to happen. Or you need him to play really well with the second unit and they keep him on the court. Probably want the game to be close if he plays. They just have a lot of guys they can throw at you. They've got Crowder. They're going to play minutes. They're going to play Bobby Portis, obviously plenty of minutes. Javon Carter will get his normal 15 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever it is. And then you're good. This is the game. This is the must win. So you don't get the 40-minute Giannis games very often, but if this game is within 20 points, he's going to play 40 minutes, even with his issue. I'd be really surprised if he plays less than like 38 or 36, and he's being projected for 33, I think. So that's why I just can't get over the Giannis. And no team guards him better than the Heat. He has nightmare games against them all the time. But even his nightmare games at like 55 fantasy points is still pretty good. You know what I mean? At 10-4.
Yeah.
We're used to deciding whether to play him at 13K. And at 32 minutes versus potentially 40. Jimmy Butler is going to be popular, and I am totally I would be playing Butler, and if I was stacking up that game, but I'm just having a hard time doing it. To be honest with you, I just think I like Jimmy Butler and Davis versus Ja and Giannis. If people want to take the Butler and Davis side of it, that's totally fine. I just am not doing that. I prefer the other side of it. I like the Ja and Giannis as my spend-ups. What else have we got going on? I'm going to probably get out of here so I can finish my baseball build and make sure I get this Melendez out of my 30% of my lineups.
Dylan Brooks.
That's going to be a problem.
Kyle Lowry. And then, it would be nice to get Giannis in, right? Pretty easy to do.
It's definitely doable. No Rojas, by the way, for Arizona. So another tick down in that game. Just
okay.
Makes you feel even a little bit better about fading it, you know? Let's see. Christian Walker in the lineup? No Christian Walker either. Evan Longoria batting fourth. Oh. Yeah, so I actually think both of those stacks are a little bit worse than they were. They still have probably going to score plenty of runs, but because the pitching is so bad. But I do think they're a little worse than they were to start today. Perdomo leading off. Let's go. Finally, been waiting. This guy's been batting ninth, and all he does is get 3 hits every game. Just let him play.
Ooh, almost. So Kennard, no. Vincent, 4,500, no.
I like the Vincent. He and Caleb Martin would be two of the guys I do like to get different.
You like him more than Lowry?
Well, you're talking about like 50% owned him versus 50%, 15% owned Vincent versus 50% owned Lowry. And when you think of it like that, yes, I like him better. Do I think he's more likely to score more fantasy points? No. But I think that he does almost half the time, so it makes the ownership a little bit skewed, in my opinion. It's not like Lowry's been out there just balling. What is he averaging in this year? He put up 9, 15, and 25. So because he put up 25 in the last one and Vincent had a bad, only put up 22, then he's projected to score 7 more. I just don't understand. That's where projections. I think playoff NBA projections are just very, very suspect in general. Another guy who no one's talking about, and for good reason, but look, you're talking about get weird guys if you're entering 30 or 20 or in some of the big one, have a Santi Aldama in one of them. You know what I mean? He's sort of trending out with Memphis, but then again, they're down 2-1, and he's a guy who can make shots. So if Jaren Jackson, the most foul-prone player in the NBA, Dylan Brooks, the second most foul-prone player in the NBA, that's not an exaggeration. They really are number 1 and 2. That means you could see some Aldama and Luke Kennard minutes more than maybe people are projecting. The problem is will it be Roddy or will it be Aldama? But those are the kind of guys who can, get you 20 points and help carry the rest of your lineup and win a tournament.
That's very interesting.
Okay.
Dylan Brooks. And what did you say about Rui?
Rui is I'm not playing him today, but
Rui versus Strus.
I like Strus better.
Rui versus Caleb Martin.
Factoring in ownership, well,
Caleb Martin versus Strus, for that matter.
I like Caleb Martin a little bit better than. Well, I like Strus because he can put up like 40. Caleb Martin, you're kind of hoping to get your 25 or 30 from him, and he's fairly priced. I guess I would have Strus ahead of the others, yeah, and Martin second. I don't think Rui's going to never miss a shot again, which is what he's been looking like lately. He's literally missing no shots.
Oh man, they keep on asking me, Sheets, would you like to play Luke Kennard? They keep on asking me that.
Maybe the answer should be yes.
As I'm doing this build here,
maybe it's a yes.
Instead of what's his name, Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Can I possibly do that? Can I play Luke Kennard instead of Dylan Brooks?
Yeah.
Is that legal?
I think it's totally fine. You just hope you get the 5-3 Luke Kennard game. Man, for a minute I thought I was going to get the Clay game yesterday. He had moments where he'd have it was like, oh, here he goes, and then he would just miss like a 30-footer, and it would rattle out, and I was like, oh, he did it again. But then it's really tough.
Lowry, Kennard or Vincent?
I like Vincent better because I feel secure about his role, and Kennard is a little more.
You wouldn't play Vincent and Lowry together, right?
I don't think I would play Vincent and Lowry together, although I don't think it's totally wrong with no Hero. But most likely those minutes get divvied up a little bit differently, and they end up splitting a lot of the point guard minutes. They don't really need a point guard because in the half court, Butler becomes like their point guard. So, look, you got to make some uncomfortable plays to make things work tonight. And Vincent is very capable of putting up 2 fantasy points like he did last time. He also can put up 27, 30 if things go right.
Yeah. And why are we starting like Duncan Robinson in? Because Strus is out, right?
No, because
Hero is out, right?
Yeah, and he played 23 minutes and 25 minutes the last 2 games. He's put up 25 and 28. It's good enough for me.
He was 4 for 6 and 5 for 6 and 3.
Yeah, but that's what he's going to do. He's an elite shooter, and that's how you're going to have to get there. I mean, he's not going to shoot that well, but if you give me the minutes, I'll suck up at it.
My chances, right?
Yeah. I don't think he's not like we shouldn't expect 25 or 28 of him. I'd be happy to get my 20 from him.
True Dare play is interesting.
I really like it. I mean, he's in all my lineups right now, so that's probably what I end up doing. All right, I'm gonna go just so I can get my baseball builds done, and I will be in Discord. We're working on a few things. Sorry, some site stuff here.
You like any of the other bigs from Milwaukee, like Lopez or Portis?
Wait, say that one more time.
Any of the bigs from Milwaukee, either Lopez or Portis?
If I had to pick, I'd probably pick Portis, but I don't. I'm not trying to pick either of them.
All right, I'm gonna go as well.
Okay.
I will catch up to you later.
All right. Good luck to everyone.